So I think it should be in the afternoon at your end. It's also afternoon here. Good afternoon to you all. So I want to share our experience here in Ghana on the STI for SDGs roadmap. I would, by way of outline, I will talk about the introduction, the situational analysis that we did, some SWOT, and then mainstreaming STI and STI for SDGs and the way forward on the map, STI for SDG map. So just a quick one, following up on the overview that was given by Cornelia. This whole project started in 2019 for us, being in the pilot with Ethiopia, India, Kenya, Serbia, and also Ukraine. And another point that I want us to be familiar with is the fact that everything that we are doing in terms of the STI for SDG is to make sure that we integrate the science, technology, and innovation into our national sustainable development plans to be able to achieve the sustainable development goals. Indeed, we could not look at all the 17 goals, so there was a need for prioritization. The other point is that we need to integrate or mainstream STI in development planning. And also, I want to acknowledge the support that we had from UNESCO, as well as from our Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, and particularly our Chief Director, Mrs. Cynthia Bedia. Yeah, so it is a process. It took us about a year and over to get the strategy or the STI for SDG roadmap done. And so there were some milestones. We started by looking at the preparation in terms of who to be involved in the technical task team here in Ghana that was constituted by MESTI and also inaugurated by our then Honorable Minister. And then also in 2022, one key thing that we did was doing a situational analysis of where we are. And coming from the situational analysis, we published some policy briefs as well. Again, in 2021, that was us moving into the full-blown development stage, which we did. By February, we had our strategy ready. That is the STI for SDG roadmap. And then we launched into dissemination, that is making sensitization on the roadmap, and also making sure that we are in a mode of mobilizing partnership as well as resources to be able to implement. I must also recognize and also acknowledge the support that we've had from UNESCO in terms of a CEDAR project, which is also looking at strengthening STI systems here in Ghana with support from Sweden, funding support from the Swedish government. So in doing the roadmap or developing the roadmap, there were some essential documents that we needed to review. So our national development plans, our STI policy, which is currently due for review, and then the national we are with the prioritized SDGs. I must also say that we made use of the toolkit that was developed by the UNESCO that also guided the process.
We are losing you. Are you still there?
Other document that 2024, we have, hello.
Yeah, just continue. We lost you a bit, but you're back.
Oh, okay. And yeah. Also, I must also mention the fact that because we needed our STI for SDG roadmap to our development plans, we also had to look at our Ghana Shared Growth and Development Agenda, as well as the Coordinated Program of Economic and Social Development Policies. The Ghana Beyond Aid document was also reviewed. So we have a picture of our first technical task team with our former minister. So for the STI, for the SDG roadmap itself, as I mentioned, we have to prioritize the SDGs. So for us, we looked at SDG 2, 3, 4, 9 because of the industry and innovation. And then also we had to also look at SDG 6, that is the sanitation and water, because when you look at our SDG reporting, we were deficit in that area. So we needed to do more work in there. So basically, when you take the STI for SDG roadmap, based on the prioritized SDGs, then it launched us into specific sectors. So we have the agri sector, the health sector, ICT, that is industry, also looking at infrastructure for ICT. And then also we studied much on the innovation hubs that we currently have so that we can showcase the work of the youth in all these activities towards the SDGs, achieving SDGs with STI. And so in the roadmap, we have lined up activities for each of the sectors that we want to look at and also expected output. I won't go much into that, but if you open up the document, we have detailed activities and expected output, as well as responsible ministries and agencies, and also costing of the activities. I mentioned the fact that we had to do a thorough situational analysis on STI that was done in 2020. And here we look at our strength, our opportunities, for example, as well as the weaknesses and the threat. But the emphasis here is what are the strengths that we can build on? What are the weaknesses that we can work at to minimize? And what are the opportunities? Because for us here in Ghana, the key thing altogether that we are looking at, number one, is our job creation, especially with the STI systems, within the STI ecosystem. And so with the situational analysis, we could map where we want to go or where we want to move into by 2030. So we kind of put some percentages on the situation as at 2020, and then where we want to achieve, for example, if you take the agriculture sector, 100% self-sufficiency. And we realized that when we talk about research, then we needed to strengthen our research for improved yields, our processing to add value to what we get, and also international trade. If you take education, we are looking at inclusivity. And so we said that with applying science, technology, and innovation, that would enable. And in doing that, we play emphasis on open science, infrastructure, and quality competence and employable skills. So the Ethiopian counterpart mentioned the fact that TBET, yes, one of the key things that we have also got to do here is bridging the gap between our research, academia, and industry. So it's also one of the focus areas for us as an activity that has been tagged on in the STI for SDG roadmap. Health, because of the COVID situation, we needed to also strengthen application of science technology in the health system, especially in emergency response in public health. Water and sanitation, as I mentioned, we had deficit in terms when we're reporting on SDGs. And so we needed, especially on water quality monitoring. And so we needed to develop activities in science, technology, and innovation that can help us to improve on the water quality. When you come to the industrial transformation, again, as I mentioned, now we did assessment of application of frontier technology as at 2020. And so we realized that most of our industries are not using frontier technologies, and we need to do more in terms of that to be able to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves for the SDGs. One other thing that we did was to look at the STI capabilities in terms of the human resource, in terms of our governance structures, the infrastructure, and also the processes, the innovation processes and output, as well as knowledge exchanges. And these are the sectors that we're focusing on for these indicators. I've mentioned agriculture, industry, health, education, and sanitation. And in all these areas, we look at the developmental challenges and the role of the public and private sector and what interventions can be labeled, as well as the enabling environment to be able to fast track the achievement of SDGs. And as I mentioned earlier, the role of the youth is also very paramount in in the roadmap. So this slide is showing what we did for the agriculture sector. Again, I won't go much in depth, but as you can see,
just now summarize the next
okay, so we did the same for the health, the education sector. Here's a map showing where we are in terms of our industrial use of frontier technologies. As I mentioned, we don't have much in terms of generation 4.0, and so we need to do much in the area of technologies for our transformation. So in concluding, the roadmap has an introductory chapter. It has the vision where we want to go and the targets in terms of interventions. We've also have the budgeting as well as the coordination arrangement and monitoring and evaluation as well. And then one other key things that we are laying emphasis on is partnership communication, which has been developed as a strategy and a chapter in the roadmap. Yeah, so I mentioned policy briefs. These are also available in the UNESCO website, the conceptualization, how we did the situational analysis, the capacity assessment that we have done, and how to harness our STI to be able to showcase what the youth are already doing and what they can do to fast track the achievement of the SDGs using STI. So in terms of strategy, where we are now is mobilizing resources and also partnership for actions. Yeah, so we want to break the walls down. We want to move from industry 3.0 to 4.0. And most of the things that we are doing, we need to adopt new emerging technologies. And this means that we need a lot of resources, both in terms of financials and also capacity to be able to fast track the application of STI for the achievement of. So thank you for your attention.